Stop saving money. That probably sounds like the worst financial advice that you've heard, right? So, for those of you in the room, before you walk away, and for those of you on YouTube, before you click away, right, I want to explain exactly what I mean, right? Because by show of hands, or you guys can put this in the comments, by show of hands, who has heard this before? Nobody. But who has heard save your money? Right? Who's heard, hey, save your money, save your money? So, show of hands, right? Almost nobody raised their hands when I said stop saving money. But everybody raised their hands when I said save your money, that you have to save your money, right? Because we've all heard it. We've all heard it from our parents. We've all heard it from our teachers. We've all heard it from our spouses, for those of us who are married. Or you may be the spouse that keeps on saying it, right? But here's the thing. As many times as we've heard it, it's caused us to believe that saving money is the end goal. And that's where the mistake is. The end goal is to not save money, because here's the thing. Saving money has never made anyone rich. Not one person, right? Think about this. Who do you know who is financially free? Think about the people that you know who are financially free. I can guarantee you not one of them, not one, saved their way there. See, I've met so many people that have saved thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, and they still feel financially trapped. Why is that the case? When I've met people with average or a little bit above average income who are strategically building real wealth. So, what's the difference? The difference is what they did after they saved their money. Okay? So, here's the thing. Saving money is like collecting seeds, right? So, let's say you have a jar, right? You have a jar and you're collecting seeds, you're collecting seeds, you're collecting seeds, you're collecting seeds, you're collecting seeds. Well, guess what? Let's say you've now filled your jar with these seeds, right? You've now filled your jar with seeds. You've filled it. What are these seeds going to produce for you inside of this jar? Can somebody tell me what these seeds are going to produce for you inside of this jar? Exactly. I see a few of you mouthing it off, right? Nothing. They're not going to do anything inside of the jar. So why is it that we think if we change these seeds into dollars, right? Dollars, we have a bunch of dollars in this jar, and we're collecting and collecting and collecting in a jar or in a bank account, that the money's going to do something for us. The money isn't going to do anything for us if they're in a jar. So saving money isn't the goal, right? So now, for those of you who are note takers, who are here taking notes, I always say note takers are money makers, right? So I'm going to give you just a few points today. Just a few points today. Let's see which marker is better. Okay, this one. Just a few points today. Just 3. That's it. Okay. On why is it that you need to stop thinking that you just need to save money and that all your financial problems will be solved once you save money. Okay? So, point number one, I want you to write this. The lie, right? The lie. And what is the lie? The lie is that saving money is the goal. Because we know that it's not the goal, right? We just learned this, okay? So saving is the goal. That is not the goal, because if you just save, what is it going to do for you? Nothing. Okay, good. Everybody's following, right? So here's why this is important. I remember growing up, and my parents used to always tell me this: save your money, 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 right? But and then I also remember there was an instance where my parents had about $100,000 saved up. We had moved to Florida. My dad was a truck driver. You know, everything seemed pretty good. However, things started happening. Like what? Well, number one, moving is expensive, right? For those of you who moved a lot, you know what I'm talking about. Moving is expensive. Number two, my mom wasn't bringing in income anymore in Florida, so she had to tap into the jar. Then my dad's truck started breaking down. And then there was a medical emergency. So what happened to this jar? It got more empty and more empty and more empty and more empty because money stopped flowing into the jar. And everything inside the jar was just sitting there. It wasn't doing anything. It wasn't producing anything. I mean, I think the savings account probably, I would guess, I don't know, I was young. So let's say maybe 2%, right? 2% on savings. There's savings accounts that give you way less than that, but let's just say 2%, maybe even 4%. Well, that means that if there was $100,000, that means that this account and it was at 4%. Let's call it 4. That means it generated a whopping $4,000, which may have been good for 1 month of the mortgage and some food. Okay, so that's where I learned that saving money is not the goal. But here's the truth. Here is the truth. Saving money is the preparation. Okay? It's the start, it's the beginning. Okay? You start out by, it's the starting line. Whoops. Is the, hold on. Starting line. Okay? Is the starting line. So I remember a few years back, a mentor of mine, his name is Myron Golden. Some of you have heard of him. And he said that money is a servant. That the Bible says that money is a servant. And I looked it up. And guess what? You are created in the image of the Creator, to be a creator, which means He has given you dominion over all things in this earth. All things, including money. So money is to serve you. And the reality of the situation in America is that most people are servants of money. They wake up in the morning, they go to work at a job that they don't like, and they only do it for the money. The money will tell them what they can and cannot do. Money will tell a lot of people what they can and cannot eat, where they can and cannot go. So therefore, money is not their servant. Money is your servant. Money is here for you, to serve you, not the other way around. Okay? So this brings me to my second point. Like, dang, second point already? Yes. This is quick. It's only 3 points, right? What the wealthy do with their money, or I should say with their savings. What do the wealthy do with their savings? Okay? And to give you the answer to this question in the most simplest way possible, I'll explain it how I heard Myron Golden explain it, or I'll attempt to explain it the way that he explained it, right? So in the Bible, in the story of Jesus, he goes around the in to different towns in different places by the Sea of Galilee, right? Okay, so for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, right? By the Sea of Galilee. In the Middle East, there's a sea that's called the Sea of Galilee. There's also another sea, and it's called the Dead Sea. And the reason why it's called the Dead Sea is because nothing grows in it. There's no fish, no animals, nothing's in the Dead Sea. Why is the Dead Sea dead? Well, because the Dead Sea, let's say this is the Dead Sea, right? This circle. This is the Dead Sea. It only has an inlet, which means water flows into the Dead Sea, but there's no water that flows out of the Dead Sea. Yes. Oh, some of you are starting to get it, right? Just like the jar, right? So money is flowing into the jar. Money's flowing into the jar, but there's no money coming out of the jar, right? Similar to the Dead Sea. However, there's another sea called the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee, right? And in the Sea of Galilee, there's a bunch of fish and things grow in the Sea of Galilee. So much so that there was a time in the Bible where there was these fishermen, and they were told to put their nets down into the sea, and they said, listen, we've been fishing all night, We haven't caught anything. There's nothing here for us. I'm going home. That's it. I didn't catch anything. I'm going to go sleep. We've been fishing all night, haven't caught a thing. Nothing's going to change. Right? So Jesus said, put down your nets one more time. And there was so much fish that went into the nets that the boat was going to turn over, right? They couldn't even take the nets out of the water. They needed another boat to come and help them with all the fish that they caught. Right? Why? Because this sea has life in it. Why does the sea have life in it? Well, because there is an inlet, right? Which means there's water flowing in, and there's probably fish, right? Also flowing in, maybe, I don't know. Actually, let me put it this way. All right, you like my artistic fish there, right? But there's also an outlet, right? So there's water that flows out as well. Everything doesn't just get trapped in here, right? So this is a place where the fish can grow, things can grow, and then they go out somewhere else. So there's a flow. Okay? There's a flow. Which brings me to my next point. Right? It brings me to my next point. Every dollar needs a job. Every single dollar that you make needs a job. You have a job or you work. Maybe you have a business. You provide some type of service. You sell something that helps people. You do something, you provide some value in exchange for money, or you provide time in exchange for money. Well, you work hard, right? And by me saying hard, I mean you get out of bed and you do it, right? Not to say it's hard. Some of us have easier jobs and professions than others, but it's work, right? So you work for this money, okay? Is your money working for you? Is your money working as hard as you are working? Think about that. Because if your money's in a jar, okay, and you're getting steady 4%, right? That means it's fixed. That means your money is growing fixed, right? So for those who are visual, if you need a chart, right, your money's growing like this. Your money's growing like this. Question. I don't know if you've actually seen this in real life in a hospital, but most of us would, I would say that you've probably seen this on TV or in a movie or something, right? You've seen, I think it's an EKG machine. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a doctor, right? But the machine that measures the heart rate, the beep, 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 right? If it goes flat, beep, right? If it goes flat, what does that mean? Yeah, I see you guys whispering and mouthing it off. That means that the person died, right? If there's an EKG machine and it's flatlined, that means the person is dead. So if the same was true for your money, that means this is dead money. Okay? Which means you probably shouldn't be putting all your money here. Okay? You probably shouldn't be putting all your money here in a jar or in an account where it's not doing anything. So, every single dollar that you make needs a job. Okay? Now, yes, I told you it was only going to be 3 points, but no, I'm not going to leave you with, well, what should my money be doing? Right? I'm not going to leave you hanging. So, I'm going to give you some jobs. The last one is going to be a bonus. Okay? I'm going to give you 4 jobs and then I'm going to give you a bonus. Okay? So, job number 1. Job number 1, for those of you taking notes, right, is protection. Right? Or safety. Right? Financial safety. A lot of people like to call this their emergency fund. Right? Their emergency fund. I give it a different name because if I am planning for an emergency, guess what is going to happen? An emergency, because I'm planning for it, right? By you putting money into an emergency fund, that is you planning for an emergency, right? Not to say that there's anything wrong with that because things happen, right? So we need to make sure that we are protected from something happening, okay? Whether it be your car breaks down, whether it be you lose your job, whether it be a major illness, right? From what I do, most people can't say that they have a 100% income protection, which means if some major illness happened to them, they don't have anything that will protect 100% of their income. And that's something that we help with, right? Because just like I told you, like with my father, we had some things happen and then there was a major illness that drained the majority of the savings of the jar. Right? Why? Because he didn't have income protection. And see, most people, what they have is like short-term or long-term disability or something like that, which covers about 40 to 60% of their income. But let's face it, how many people in America are living off of 60% of their income? Not very much. So what we do is we show people how they can protect 100% of their income with an income protection plan. For those of you on YouTube, if you have a question about this, you want to learn more about this and get this set up for you and your family, well, there should be a link somewhere, maybe in the comments or in the description, to where you can book a call with either myself or one of my teammates, and we'll educate you on this and set this up for you free of charge, right? And for those of you in the room, of course, you can book an appointment and set this up free of charge. So, protection, safety, emergency fund. I like to call this an opportunity fund. Everything is an opportunity to me. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to be humbled sometimes, right? Everything is an opportunity, though. So every emergency is also an opportunity. That's just how I kind of see things. So I call it an opportunity fund, not an emergency fund. That's just my personal choice. I would recommend that you change your vocabulary to positive words, but that's your personal decision. Moving on to point number 2, right? Job number 2. for your money? What is the second thing that your money should be doing? Because you work for your money, but if your money's not working for you, then, well, give it a job, right? Give it some jobs. So some dollars will have job number one, some dollars will have job number two, which is to create future income. Create future income. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some of you, not most, but some of you will probably say, well, my job offers a 401k or a 403b or a 457 or a TSP, or I have an IRA or I have a Roth IRA. I'm saving in a mutual fund. I'm putting money away for retirement so that it can create future income. Well, great. You understand exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? Give yourselves a round of applause, right? Clap your hands for yourself, because this is what the job is, right? To create future income for yourself. Now, what most people do is they put their money in what I call a variable strategy, right? So if your money, so this is fixed. So variable, if you're looking at a chart, is like this, right? it it's up and it's down and it's up and it's down and it's up and it's down. It usually tends to go up again, but you never know when it's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to happen, right? So, and this is like your 401k or the IRA or the TSP or the 403b, right? Or the 457. All these things are in a variable strategy. That's what most people know. See, I used to have one of these. I have an accounting degree. I went to work for this big company on 34th Street in Manhattan, in New York City, right? These big, beautiful glass building. And when I first got the job, they said, "Hey, Mr. Turby, do you want a retirement account?" I said, "I think that's what I'm supposed to do. So sure." Well, what is it? How does it work? They said, "Okay, check this box, sign these papers, and here's a pamphlet." And that was it. That was, I don't know if anybody has had a similar experience with any of these accounts that they've set up for their retirement, where like you kind of sign some paperwork and you don't know fully how it works, right? They don't give you all the information. I had that same experience. That's why when we meet with someone, we explain to them exactly how what they have works, and then we show them what the wealthy do. We show them different options, right? We show them something called indexed indexed strategies, where the market goes up, they make money. If the market goes down, they stay flat. Then they go up and flat and up and flat and up and flat and up, right? So their money is growing consistently. They don't ever lose money to the market volatility. Their money doesn't go like this, right? It's not an EKG machine. Nobody's heartbeat beats like this, like an index, right? Where it just gets higher and higher and higher and higher. I wouldn't want my heart to work like this, but I would want my money to work like this, right? Who can agree with that? Yes, yes, right? You don't want your heart working like this, but you want your money working like this. Okay, so this is good for a heart rate, but this is good for your money. Okay, so um, so that's some of the things that we teach families to do, right? Job number three. Job number three is we grow assets, right? We grow assets. What is an asset? I'm so glad you asked. So, right now, or by show of hands, and for those of you online, you can put this in the chat. How many of you clock in and clock out, and that's how you make your money. Right? Put a 1 in the chat if when how you make your money is you clock into your job and you clock out. Right? You get paid a certain amount of money per hour. Okay? All right. So you and your time is your asset. Okay? Because that's what generates income. You are the asset. For those of you who are self-employed, you are your asset. Once you stop working, the money stops coming. Is that clear? Okay, good. So you are the asset. So if you use your money to grow assets, that means that you have something else outside of you that continues to bring you money, right? Like a business that can function without you. Okay? Like a website or a funnel that works automatically where you remove yourself and it continues to work. Some type of system. Okay? Some type of system that continues to work while you remove yourself from the picture. Okay? That's what I've created for myself. That's what we create for others, for people who do business with us. We help you build an asset. We help you build a company, a real business that can continue to work without you. It's a system. Okay? If you're looking to learn more about that, for those of you who are online, then book a call. We can talk about it. Okay? So the job number 3 is to grow assets, right? This is where the majority of the billionaires have made their money, with assets. Okay? Job number 4 is to create tax efficiency. Now, I won't get into all the details because I promised you that I would be brief, and we've gone a little bit over. But creating tax efficiency, see, most people that have these accounts, right? Like let's say that you have $1 million when it comes to retirement, right? You've got $1 million, you've worked hard, you worked 40 years for your money, 30 years, 20 years, whatever it is. You now have $1 million. Well, I don't know if you've looked at the tax brackets, but let's just say taxes didn't go up in the future. We we can all agree that's probably not going to happen. They're probably going to go up, right? So let's just say that they stayed the same. If taxes stayed the same and you had $1 million, that would mean that you would be paying 36, let's call it 33%. Okay, that's probably not the number. I haven't looked at it today, so I don't know what exactly what it is for $1 million income. But let's just say you have $1 million saved up in these accounts where you didn't pay taxes all those years, but now you're going to pay taxes when you retire. Okay? So now what? Now, what is 33% of $1 million? That's $330,000 in taxes that you're going to be paying out of your money. Who wants to do that? Nobody? I don't see any hands. You don't want to do that. So what if, though, you can use some money to create tax efficiency for you in the future? Okay? That's what the wealthy people do. So now the bonus job, and I'll end here. The bonus job is to create more opportunity. Right? If you're like, hey, okay, I'm taking a portion of my money, I put it to job number one. Well, guess what? This should only be there should be a cap on this, right? Like if you have an emergency fund or an opportunity fund, there's no reason why you should have more than 6 months of expenses, in my personal opinion, unless you're saving for a specific asset, or you're saving for a specific thing, right? For like a big purchase or something. And even then, I would definitely use another strategy. I would use this combined with this, right? To then, anyways, we'll get into that another time in another video for those of you online, right? But I would say just 3 to 6 months, okay? Maybe 50,000, right? Or 100. That's it. Nothing too crazy. And then everything else should flow into these other jobs, right? Creating a future income, growing assets, creating tax efficiency, and creating more opportunity, or just fun. You got to enjoy your money. Remember, money is a servant. Money is a servant. Money is a servant. Money is a servant. Why am I repeating it? Because I want you to internalize it. Money is a servant. For those of you who are online, put it in the chat. Money is a servant. Money serves you. You do not serve money. Most people in America wake up, they work, they hate their job. They only do it for the money. Their money tells them what they can and cannot do. It tells them where they can and cannot go. But you are different, because money is your servant. You are not money's servant. Okay? After today, after everything you've learned, you are no longer servant to money, if that was the case before. Okay? So, with all that being said, that was the bonus. But just to summarize everything, again, the biggest lie is don't just save your money. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, please don't do that. Don't just save money. Money is not the goal. Money is the first step. It is where wealth begins. Okay? Every single dollar that you have is waiting for an assignment. All right? So today, all right, I know you've learned some things, but today I want you to take this, write this down for those of you who are writing this down. Okay? I want you to look at how much you have saved in your jar, right? If you have more than 3 to 6 months of expenses, then think, okay, everything above that, answer this question, and answer this question for every future dollar that you make. You ready? Here's the question. What job will this dollar do? What job will this dollar do? For those of you on YouTube, I would recommend that you watch my video on the 5 questions that every dollar should answer if you haven't already watched it. And for those of you who are in the room, please raise your hands if you have any questions. All right? Yes. What is your question?